New England wears its history like a heavy cloak. Old stone walls snake through forgotten woods. Colonial houses stand silent, their windows like vacant eyes, staring out at a world that has long since passed them by. And here in Connecticut, the past is never truly gone. It breathes, it waits, it whispers on the autumn wind. There are places where the veil between our world and the next is thin, where shadows move on their own and voices call out from empty rooms. These are not just stories told around a campfire, they are experiences etched into the memories of those who dared to look a little closer. Easton's Union Cemetery is not like other graveyards. It is old, dating back to the 1700s, and it carries the weight of its years heavily. The iron gates seem to groan a warning to all who enter. The headstones, weathered and leaning, mark the final resting place for soldiers of the Revolution and the Civil War. But some say not everyone here is resting. For decades, this cemetery has been known as one of the most haunted in the entire country. The stories are not just whispers, they are bold, terrifying encounters reported by countless visitors, reported by police officers, reported by Ed and Lorraine Warren, who even wrote about the place. The most famous spirit of Union Cemetery is the White Lady. Her true identity is lost to time. Legends say she was a woman who was murdered or perhaps died in childbirth, and now searches eternally for her lost child or her killer. She is most often seen gliding through the tombstones or floating along the adjacent Route 59. Drivers slam on their brakes thinking they are about to hit a real person, only to see her vanish into thin air. Her apparition is so common that local police have received hundreds of calls about her over the years. Deep within the woods of Cornwall, Connecticut, lie the scattered, crumbling foundations of a place known only as Dudleytown. This was never a real town, but a small settlement founded in the mid-1740s by several members of the Dudley family. From its very beginning, the settlement seemed to be plagued by misfortune. The land was rocky and ill-suited for farming, driving its inhabitants into poverty. But the locals believed the problem was something far more sinister. They believed the Dudleys and the land were cursed. The curse traces back to England, to Edmund Dudley. He was beheaded for treason under King Henry VIII. Legend says a curse followed the family across the ocean. Once in Cornwall, the curse seemed to take root. The community was struck by an astonishing number of tragedies. There were unexplained suicides, people went insane, mysterious deaths occurred, entire families were wiped out by epidemics, others simply vanished without a trace. One chilling tale, Mary Cheney. After her husband died, she claimed to see demonic creatures in the woods. Opened in the 1930s, Fairfield Hills State Hospital was once a sprawling campus designed to house Connecticut's mentally ill population. With over a dozen buildings connected by a network of underground tunnels, it was a city unto itself. At its peak, it housed over 4,000 patients. While it was intended to be a place of healing, the treatments of the era were often brutal and inhumane. Lobotomies, electroshock therapy, hydrotherapy, and overcrowding led to neglect and despair. The walls of Fairfield Hills bore witness to unimaginable human suffering for decades until it was finally closed in 1995. The closure of the hospital did not silence the anguish within its walls. The massive decaying buildings were left to rot, becoming a magnet for urban explorers and ghost hunters. Those who have dared to enter the derelict structures report a symphony of paranormal activity. Disembodied screams and moans are said to echo down the long, empty corridors, particularly in buildings where the most extreme treatments were performed. Shadow figures are frequently seen darting in and out of old patient rooms, and doors are known to slam shut on their own, trapping explorers in the darkness. Nestled in the heart of Manchester, the Little Theatre of Manchester has been entertaining audiences for decades. But, the performances on stage are not the only show to see. Behind the curtain, a resident ghost named Alice has been making her presence known for over 50 years. Alice is believed to be the spirit of a woman who was either an actress or a dedicated patron of the arts in a previous theater that once stood on the same spot. Her story is one of loyalty and a love for the stage that has, somehow, transcended death itself. Unlike many hauntings that are born of tragedy, Alice's presence is often described as mischievous and even helpful. Actors and stagehands have a long list of stories about their interactions with Alice. She seems to enjoy playing harmless pranks, such as hiding props just before they are needed, only for them to mysteriously reappear in plain sight moments later. Flickering lights during rehearsals. Strange noises coming from the catwalks above the stage seats and the empty auditorium folding down on their own. Many performers have felt a cold spot pass through them while on stage or have heard a faint, disembodied female voice humming a tune from an empty dressing room. While her antics can be startling, Alice is also seen as a sort of spectral guardian of the theater. There are numerous tales of her intervening in ways that seem protective. For instance, an actor who nearly fell from a ladder felt a firm, unseen push that corrected his balance. A stagehand who left a crucial piece of equipment behind found it sitting right by the door as he was leaving for the night, as if placed there for him to find. It is said that Alice appreciates good performances and will sometimes make her approval known with a single, unexplained clap from the back of the darkened theater after a show has ended. Alice's presence is so ingrained in the theater's culture that she is considered part of the family. Many actors will say, "Good night, Alice," before leaving the building to show their respect. Long before Alcatraz, there was Newgate Prison. Established in 1773 in East Granby, it was the first state prison in the United States. But its history actually began even earlier, as the nation's first chartered copper mine. The prison was built directly over the dark, claustrophobic mine shafts, which were then used as the dungeon for the inmates. Conditions were, honestly, just horrific. Prisoners were housed deep underground in the cold, wet darkness, often chained to the walls with little food or light. It was a place of extreme brutality, despair, and death. The prison housed everyone from common thieves to Revolutionary War loyalists, and many who entered never saw the light of day again. The prison was closed in 1827, but the tormented souls of those who suffered within its walls are said to have never left. Today the site is a museum, allowing visitors to tour the above-ground prison yard and descend into the terrifying mine shafts below. It is in these subterranean tunnels that the paranormal activity is most intense. Visitors and staff alike have reported hearing the rattling of chains, the agonizing moans of unseen men, and the distinct sound of pickaxes striking rock, echoing from deep within the mine where no one is working. The stories of these 5 locations are just the tip of the iceberg. Connecticut is a state steeped in shadow, where nearly every old town has its own ghost story, its own haunted house, or its own patch of cursed ground. From the Phantom Sea Captain to the Lighthouse Inn in New London, the spectral child at Guntown Cemetery in Naugatuck, these tales are woven into the very fabric of the community. They are more than just spooky folklore. They are a living, breathing part of the state's cultural heritage, passed down through generations and kept alive by new experiences and unexplained encounters. What makes Connecticut such a fertile ground for paranormal activity? Perhaps it is the state's long and often violent history, brutal conflicts like the Pequot War. With every ghostly tale comes a wave of skepticism, and the hauntings of Connecticut are no exception. For every person who swears they saw the White Lady, there is another who suggests it was simply the headlights of an oncoming car. For every disembodied voice captured on a recorder, a skeptic will point to auditory pareidolia, the brain's tendency to find patterns in random noise. They argue that old buildings creak, wind howls, and overactive imaginations can easily turn a shadow into a specter. Skeptics offer logical explanations for the phenomena reported at these haunted sites. The oppressive feeling in the Dudleytown woods? It could be caused by infrasound, low-frequency sound waves generated by wind patterns. The cold spots in the Newgate mines, natural temperature fluctuations in an underground environment, the moving objects in the little theater. We have walked through the cursed woods of Dudleytown and descended into the hellish mines of Newgate Prison. We have listened for the ghostly applause of Alice and felt the lingering sorrow of Fairfield Hills. We have watched for the White Lady of Union Cemetery, hoping for a glimpse, yet terrified of what we might find. These places and the stories they hold are a powerful testament to the darker side of Connecticut's history. They are landmarks of tragedy, mystery, and the enduring question of what happens after we die. The evidence remains circumstantial. There is no definitive, peer-reviewed scientific paper that proves the existence of ghosts. We have blurry photographs, ambiguous audio recordings, and a mountain of personal testimony. For the skeptic, this is nothing more than a collection of folklore and misinterpretation. For the believer, it is a compelling body of evidence that points to a reality beyond our own. The stories persist because the experiences persist. As long as people continue to see things they cannot explain,